Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. What's the lure of an affair? Well, having an affair is like ordering a secret menu item at a restaurant. It seems exciting and forbidden until you realize it usually comes with a side of guilt and a sprinkle of awkward encounters. It's like trying to juggle flaming torches while riding a unicycle. Exhilarating in theory, but you're likely to end up burned and in a circus of drama. Let's talk about this today on rSpace. Ex won't move on. 48 male, divorced 18 months. In summary, she cheated on me after 14 years of marriage. Affair with married coworker. She admitted it. After a month, just had to leave. I know she was remorseful, begged and begged me to stay. She did not contest the divorce or my settlement terms. She continued to be a good mom and our relationship is pretty good. Of course, we both had a hard time. We were both mourning the end of the marriage for quite a while. We just kept doing our thing as single parents. Before the holidays, I started seeing someone. Not serious, more friends. She has a daughter. We recently began talking about introducing each other to our kids. They know nothing about us. So I texted my ex and let her know as a courtesy. She immediately calls and I can tell she's upset. I said that you're seeing other people and I am as well. This was bound to happen. She's now crying. So she screams that she has not seen anyone, not even one date. Not sure I believe that, said that. She was adamant and now a bit angry. She asked that I not have her spend the night when the kids are there and she's not ready to see her, so please don't bring her around. Wow, okay. Again, just friends. An hour later, she texts me and apologizes. I thanked her. An hour after that, she texts that she deserves this. I do not need any vindictive BS cheerleading here. I am still the head of this broken family and still need to lead as a father. What do I need to do here to manage this? My new girlfriend is rock solid and will not allow any toxicity in her life. Neither do I. I'm proud of getting this crap show settled down and need some input to keep it that way. Thank you. An opinion from the community goes like this. You are not the head of a broken family. You are a father and a co-parent. She is not your responsibility. She has to get herself in a good place. You did right to inform her, but it is a courtesy. Figure out what you believe to be reasonable and stick to it. Honestly, you did her the courtesy of telling her, but you didn't really have to. It's really none of her business. Yeah, maybe if it had gotten more serious to the point where you wanted to introduce your girlfriend to your kids, then I can see having to tell her and it being more of a big deal. But she really has no right to be angry with you moving on and seeing someone when she was the one who decided to light your marriage on fire. Update. Wayward spouse life then and now. Summary of ex-wife's accomplishments. During the first 13 years of marriage, raised 2 wonderful kids, earned college degree, beautiful home, great career, loving husband. Last 3 years? Affair, dumped, divorce, joint custody, small apartment, laid off, alone. Had some challenges with wife being a little too intrusive in my life. My buddy put this in perspective. By the way, if you read my other posts, she's been leaving me alone. My life isn't great either, but I'm finally at peace. Hang in there. Another community reaction says this. I have seen this reaction a few times. I had my fun, but you ended the marriage. I was going to come back eventually. Now nobody wants me, and I blame you for that. I'm alone and you could not wait for me. Boo hoo hoo. Yeah, sorry. Karma took a major bite out of your butt, and now you pay. I have a sister-in-law. To be honest, she's nuts. She kicked the husband out. She was having it off with one of his friends. Hubby was a total mess. He ballooned in weight, started screwing up at work. He found a really good psychiatrist. Soon he was back in the gym. He dropped a huge amount. He moved back in with his parents till he could figure out the direction. Then he did. He had been promoted at work, bought a nice condo, was dressing better. Then he meets a girl. He introduces her to my wife and I cannot be happier for him. Sister-in-law, who has been through a few guys while the divorce is progressing, sees that A, he looks like $1 million, B, he has his own home and a nice car. C, he is dating someone completely out of his league. In short, she has a crap fit. Calls him up. How dare you betray me? He says, sorry, we gave it the office, and hangs up. Sister-in-law goes on a campaign, slags both of them. My wife nearly rolled up a newspaper to smack her over the nose. At a family dinner, my wife rises, points to her sister, and tells her to leave the poor bugger alone. You are the one with the hot pants. You are the one who could not wait to jump on another guy's dick. He saved himself from you. Now leave him alone. Her sister goes, I can't. I have to be the winner, not him. Mother-in-law says, stop, or find another place to live. Sister-in-law goes, "Mommy, he makes me look stupid." My mother-in-law goes, "You are stupid. You threw him away like used Kleenex. He fixes himself and you hate it. I'm so disappointed in you." Cheaters have a hard time when their spouses actually move on. It really kills them to see their spouse happy without them. If you're at peace, OP, you're already miles ahead of your ex and totally winning at life. Update: Mother's Day fiasco. Man, I screwed up. Not in the least intentional. Swear. Screw up number 1. Had the kids Saturday and dropped them off for Mother's Day to be with their mom. We've been quarantined for weeks with beaches closed. They're now open. Saturday was beautiful weather. The kids and I spent the day at the beach. Had a blast. I guess that was her big plan for Mother's Day. She never told me her plans and I never really thought about it. Screw up number 2. Have a friend of sorts that I have been seeing. Thought I was discreet in building a nice Mother's Day gift basket for her. My kids have never met her. I guess the kids somehow found it. It was in my closet. And thought it was my gift to their mom. Evidently, they told her all about it. So X called to tell me how disappointed she was that we went to the beach. I apologized. At first she was okay, then she thanked me for the gift and couldn't wait to see it. Blurted out, "I didn't get you a gift." It got ugly. I feel bad for her. At the same time, when she had the affair, she never once considered how her future may look. Believe me, I had an arsenal of jabs I could have laid into her with, but I didn't. Are you a mind reader? No. How are you supposed to know what her plans were? Like you said, she never considered you when she was off with another man. Stop the pity party. You have nothing to feel guilty for. The fact that she still has you feeling guilty means you're still wrapped around her little finger. Update: Divorce, the affair fog is your friend. Just sharing a personal reflection based on what I experienced. Please don't think I was this smart, just more lucky in hindsight, I guess. 48 male, 14 years married, betrayed spouse, 2 years divorce. Discovered the affair. She was remorseful at the same time, never broke contact. After a month, decided to file. She went all in with the affair partner. Painful as hell. Emotionally, I pushed the hell to get the divorce finalized. Just want it out. Sooner it's over, sooner I can start fresh. So in hindsight, I made all the money. She was so absolutely lust-struck, she made the most stupid decisions on our divorce mediation. She disengaged, flippant, so immersed in the fog. Affair partner seemed well off. Maybe she felt he could take care of her. Didn't grasp what it would cost her to be on her own. What she thought she could earn to even come close to her living standards. And that's with alimony. Couple of years that will be gone. My attorney was dumbfounded. It's already starting. She texted the other night to ask how to take money out of her 401k. Told her no clue. Won't touch it until I retire. Oh, affair partner dumped her a few months post-divorce. Thought I'd mention that. So after reading a lot of posts, I thought I'd share. I suppose there's some who are successful in waiting out the affair, somehow reconciling or whatever. I guess that can be a good thing. If you're not heading down the reconciliation road, act fast. Maybe you'll get lucky like me. Now we've got a couple of reactions in the community. What a pleasing karmic story. I wished I followed your advice. We still maintained an amicable divorce, but I think it would have thrown gasoline into this relationship if I had been stronger at the beginning. Now they are legit dating, and she is the amazingly supportive new coworker girlfriend. Someone else chimes in. Glad to hear you weren't financially abused trying to get away from the person emotionally abusing you. My story is similar. 17 years married, 3 kids, 0 remorse on D-Day, and said she wouldn't end it with a affair partner. It took me a little over 3 months of settling up my finances to be ready to file and kick her out. Waited another 3 months until she moved in with the affair partner, and I had been caring for the kids solo before I had her served. Fault state. We're now 1 year after filing and paperwork is signed with final court date on Monday. She gets kids every other weekend, no alimony, and pays me child support. Her divorce settlement will keep her okay on finances for 2 to 3 years with her spending habits. After that, she's screwed. Affair partner making $18 an hour. Paying his ex-child support on 2 kids can't be much help financially. This is going to get real entertaining soon. One more person chimes in. Another winner that rolled the dice and lost. My best friend was jettisoned by his wife. She was convinced that she could do better. She had a few affairs with more senior men at work. Tried bullying her husband into not peering behind the curtain. Too bad his good friends did. She had no idea that she had been caught. Till the morning she was asked to attend the offices of her HR department. They moved the meeting to the boardroom. First, her most recent affair partner trooped in and stared daggers at her. Then the previous 2, also staring daggers. Then it hit her. Her husband came into the meeting. She attempted to communicate, but he shook his head at her. VP of HR walked into the meeting, and it was rather curt. All of you have broken the code of conduct. As a consequence, the company can no longer offer you employment. You will be given 2 weeks in lieu of notice. You will not get any bonuses or other compensation in line with corporate policy." The three men rose, one spat at her, and left. She was glued to her seat. My buddy spoke up. "I tied a can to your tail, witch. Ended all of your playmates. Your mom and dad have the evidence as well." He hands her a card. "Give this to your lawyer." She holds the card as if it is a poisonous viper. He says, "The divorce is being processed as we speak. Please never talk to me again." He walked out. Next time he saw her was in family court. After the review of the case, the judge gave him 70-30. She stood up and screamed that she was the mother. Judge said she did not present a very motherly image. Her telling him to F off pretty much screwed her case. The judge was so angry that he said he should have recused himself, but instead he said, "If I get overturned on appeal, then so be it." He did not give her child support or spousal. People always think the grass is green on the other side, but it honestly rarely is, especially when it comes to affairs. She put herself in this mess. Not only that, but affairs aside, it's important to have a contingency plan when it comes to finances. You really don't want to have to rely on someone else for your livelihood. Update. Imminent train wreck. The affair-born marriage. Long read. Interesting share on the progression of an affair-born marriage. Reference article written by Dr. Pittman. According to the stats provided, only 3 to 5% of affairs actually progress to marriage. While not part of the article, would think that most of those are likely rushed into during limerence. The article also states 75% of second marriages fail. No mention of third marriages, which is likely higher. The odds of success of an affair-born marriage is just minuscule. My take, and this is not data-based, is that a very small percentage that are defined as successful are actually split. I believe there are successful miserable and successful happy. I think there are significant portions of people who are successful miserable because they trash so much and are so hard-headed they make it work to save face and not admit that would be their biggest life's failure, so they choose living a crappy second marriage. I further submit that the little, bitty, tiny percent that are successful happy truly both had a toxic, dysfunctional, or abusive marriage they exited. Even then, happy is likely defined as better than. The reason, see below. Article excerpt. Dr. Pittman's 9 defects in the dynamics of affairs that become marriages chart the trajectory of love as it arcs from a forbidden romance to an established marriage to a marital breakup. These 9 defects include: while still married to others, the affair partners become immersed in stimulating unreality, but the second marriage illuminates reality. Only after their marriage did the divorce become real enough to see that it was a horrible mistake. They were so caught up in the infatuation that they never got around to figure out if what they were doing was sane. The cheaters who wrecked a family, or two, and inflicted much pain on innocent people may feel no or little guilt during the affair but become overwhelmed with guilt after they marry. Divorces drain both financially and emotionally. After affair partners marry, the new couple may feel a disparity in what had to be sacrificed to bring them together. Unfaithful couples who marry may believe that the life after marriage will be as good as life during the affair, and that the greater the sacrifice, the greater the expectations for the new marriage. In short, the more people enjoy the battles involved in wrecking and escaping marriages, the less they are likely to enjoy the business as usual of the new marriage. The affair partners who were unfaithful develop a distrust of marriage, and for the affair partner who is now a spouse. A marriage that begins on an untruth cannot have a trusting foundation. During the affair and the divorce, the unfaithful couple isolates and insulates themselves, and they retreat to a private little world, protected from the devastation that they have created, safe from anyone who tries to pull them apart. In this regime, memories or even mention of the betrayed spouse can be difficult. Later, the now married couple may long to reconnect with these people. However, everyone involved is hurt by the betrayal and not as forgiving as they have expected. They often find that they only have each other, and that can be very lonely. When the romance fades, as it does in most marriages, romantics do not understand that this is part of the growth of the marriage, and they do not know how to nurture a deeper, more meaningful relationship. Rather, they believe that they have just fallen out of love. During the affair and the divorce, the affair couple convinces each other that the defective marriage is the fault of the betrayed spouse. To acknowledge otherwise, now that the remarriage has taken place, seems a betrayal of the rescue fantasies that fed the affair in the first place. The absence of a shared history that nurtures a comforting familiarity to relationships that begin early in life makes talking about the past difficult. An affair that wrecked the first marriage makes it painful and embarrassing for both spouses to discuss the past because it may promote jealousy and insecurity. Affair partners who marry do not want to hear the good qualities of the previous marriage and spouses, nor about any good times the former partners had. Trying to start over can be lonely and disheartening. All of this makes so much sense, and none more than a marriage that begins on an untruth cannot have a trusting foundation. How can something that is based on lies, dishonesty, and manipulation last? It is not meant to. Update. That moment, that look, that gift. Haven't posted in a while, but thought I'd share something about my situation. The one gift my ex-wayward spouse left me that has helped me many times. A little background. Divorced 2.5 years after finding out of my wife's affair. I'm in constant contact with her as we co-parent. Amicable and no real emotions left for her. I've moved on and life is good now. Things have not been good for her, to put it mildly. Nothing major other than things here and there. Things I found out about and things that tend to concern me for my kids' sake. I am a helper and fixer by nature. I guess that's why I stay connected to this sub. So when I find out something is going bad for her, my first instinct is to help. Of course I don't, but just saying. What I always reflect back on is this look she gave me during our final mediation session. Mind you, I was at an all-time low at this point in my life. This look is hard to describe. Her eyes just looked empty, unholy, evil, and at the same time her mouth was clenched as if to be fighting off a smile. It was as if she was enjoying my pain. Man, that hurt. It's still very vivid in my mind. So when I get these situations where I think about wanting to help for that split second, my mind jumps back to that moment in the attorney's office. I do not feel vindicated or get joy out of her struggles. It's more a reassurance. I know I'm in the right place in my life, doing the right things. I often wonder if she did not give me that look, or was remorseful looking, or if her eyes were full of doubt, how things may be different. So in that context, I feel like she gave me a lifetime gift. Am I crazy? Does anyone else have a similar point in time when they reflect to find reassurance and guidance? A deleted user said this. Yes, there is a video I found of my soon-to-be ex-husband fixing himself up for his other woman and smiling so proudly of himself. That smile was weird. It didn't look like him, and it is cruel given the context. You see, the video was recorded in our basement during our daughter's 6th birthday party with family. He hid in the basement most of that day because I already discovered his affair. When I asked him to come up and be present for blowing out candles and presents, he looked annoyed and angry. The entire time he spent upstairs, he had a mean scowl on his face, only for him to go down to the basement and record himself proudly smiling for his other woman after fixing his collar and his hair. It's disgusting, really. I sometimes think back on that day when he looked so pleased with himself. The next day, he left for vacation with his other woman for 3 days. When he came back, he moved out to a studio apartment, no pets allowed. This was 2 weeks after I discovered his affair. He left me, our daughter, and 3 dogs behind. He also changed his phone number and stopped talking to our friends and his side of the family. Crazy, right? My daughter and I are still working through the trauma. I just think of that smile and I remember how dark his heart really is. Honestly, yeah. And it's like you said earlier, OP, or I suppose what Dr. Pittman said. Only after their marriage did the divorce become real enough to see that it was a horrible mistake. They were so caught up in the infatuation that they never got around to figure out if what they were doing was sane. Your ex really thought she was getting away with something. Now she's in a dumpster fire of her own doing. Update. Good guys and gals always win. Have faith. The infidelity and affair is now just a tiny dot in the rearview mirror. Sure, the memories are haunting and, no question, the lowest point of my life. I will never forget being nauseated for days at a time. Confusion, stress never felt before, sleepless nights, suicidal thoughts, on and on. Thinking about the future was near impossible. Making it through each day was daunting. Been there. You are in the club no one wants to be in. It sucks. I am now close to 3 years removed from that mess. Without a doubt, this life I have lived is nothing close to what I had dreamed. At the same time, by some miracle, I have landed on solid ground. My employer supported me through the tough times. I am forever grateful and am now more dedicated than ever. My career and performance is excelling. Somehow, I met the most amazing girlfriend. I never imagined having the connection I cherished with my ex-wife and never imagined building something remotely close after the damage caused by the affair. Miraculously, I achieved so much more. My values have changed. This whole experience has changed how I view others and myself. I now know true friendship and foster that with a select few. I needed my kids, and they needed me. My relationship with them has grown exponentially these past couple of years. They are in a good place. That's all that kept me going. I am humbled. I do not know why or how I am so blessed. I know this, I am not special, wealthy, or important. I just did my best to be a good person. Hang in there. Brighter days are ahead. My only advice to share is to be a good person and have confidence that the good guys always win. As I wrote, we are in a club where joining comes at a painful price. Any of you need anything, reach out. You're not alone. Honestly, yeah, it's not hard to be a good person, and some people, like your ex, don't seem to understand that. You should be so proud of yourself, OP. You come a long way. It's not easy to navigate divorce, but you came out on the other side on top. Update. Answer to why people cheat. Sharing a point of view. Everything we possess in life has value, whether it's material objects, friendships, relationships, careers, freedom, security, even ourselves. We all place value on what we have. How and what we value is complex. We are all unique, awash with life experiences, environments, DNA, you name it. Because of this, we all value differently, and how and what we value changes over time. Sometimes we can control the value of what we have. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we can make things more valuable. Sometimes, through neglect, we can make things less valuable. Sometimes the value is real and connected. Sometimes it's perceived. Value is always relative based on options and circumstances. We value in the present, and we value future potential. When it comes to cheating and affairs, the harsh reality is the wayward spouse valued the affair more than the marriage. It's that simple. Perhaps wayward spouse made an error in perception and placed extreme value on the affair due to limerence and fantasy. Perhaps they didn't think and appreciate what they had in the marriage and undervalued or understood love. Maybe that's why there's regret. Maybe the value they placed was real. Maybe they didn't think about future value. When I reflect on my personal situation, I believe my ex took our relationship for granted. We never had problems, and I do believe she valued what we had. I also think she overvalued her affair partner and the high that the affair gave her. Update. Well, fell off my bar stool last night. Figuratively, of course. Catching up with a few friends and ran into one of my ex's estranged friends. This woman was pretty lit and asked about X, then proceeded to tell me what an F-up my ex was. Okay, whatever. She then proceeded to volunteer how effed up that whole situation went down. Ears up. Of course, I asked what she meant. She proceeded to unload a whole saga, none of which I knew. Evidently, my ex blew a huge chunk of the money she received during the divorce settlement by investing in affair partner's business. I guess the business was very distressed, and the investment just bought time before it eventually went under. He then was going to move to another state and asked her to come. Evidently, she agreed. Then he reneged and dumped her. Guess he thought she wouldn't leave the kids. Nice to hear she was going to bail on her kids as well. Anyway, just when I thought I had a clear picture of everything, this pops up. Pretty sure this happened. I knew her spending habits weren't consistent with her income, and I knew she'd burned through the settlement. Just happened too quick. This explains it. My girlfriend asked me if this upset me hearing that she did that. The kids piece, yes. Everything else? Her money? Her choice. If anything, makes me not feel bad about her financial struggles. 49 male, divorced 3 years. The fact that she was willing to drop everything for some guy like this is disappointing, and it really goes to show where her priorities were. You maintained course and knew exactly what was important in life, aka your kids. Honestly, the fact that she even cheated on you in the first place means she was also disrespecting the kids. Her heart hasn't been in the right place for a long time. Update. Why I never reconciled. Reconciliation was off the table for me. It wasn't that I didn't think about it. Of course, my kids, the financial impact, etc. were all factors. It all came down to accepting the reality of a new, different marriage or marital relationship. I arrived at my decision through my understanding what a post-affair relationship would look like. I had to accept the following. First, she cost me and her the ability to have a pure marriage. It wasn't like we were married as virgins. It was about her purity of the marriage. I knew our relationship could potentially improve as a result of this, and things could even be better. She could be better. Counseling could help. The problem is, you just can't ever get it back when it comes to purity. Everything felt like it would be fake. Second, I would need to accept that my perspective of her would forever be changed. I knew we could restore the love, intimacy, and the connection, and she could potentially be a great partner. I don't know that I could ever view her as a wife again. It's simply a strange possessive feeling I had. When it came to her, that was gone. Like she was mine, and now she's not. Third, I had feared that while I may grow to love her again, there will always be something missing in that love. I imagined how I felt about her through reconciliation would be very similar to how a widower would feel after losing their spouse and remarrying. A widower may love their new partner, her through reconciliation, but not in the same way they loved their deceased spouse, her before the affair. So when I processed this, I realized that I had one life to live. I wanted a pure marriage. I wanted a wife, and I wanted to give her all of me. I knew that was impossible by staying. Not trying to sway anyone, just sharing my perspective that led to my decision. We're all different with different scenarios. Maybe this helps with your processing. If you stayed in the marriage, you'd never truly be married to just your ex-wife ever again. You'd be married to your ex and the guy she cheated on you with. Update. Difference between affair sex and marriage sex. I have read a lot of posts on comparing affair sex and marriage sex. Wanted to share, in probably an oversimplistic way, the difference. Affair sex versus marriage sex. Newness versus closeness. Dopamine versus oxytocin. Exciting versus comforting. Unsustainable versus sustainable. The best way I can describe this is comparing skydiving to holding a newborn. Affair sex is like skydiving. The first time it's new and exhilarating. Marriage sex is like holding your newborn child. It's the feeling of connection, comfort, and warmth. It's closeness. Like skydiving, after sex releases dopamine. It's a high from excitement. Now here's the catch. All you need to release dopamine is some positive excitement. It's easy. Like holding a newborn, marital sex releases oxytocin. It's a feeling of warmth and comfort. Oxytocin is a little more challenging. Oxytocin requires a feeling of security and safety to release. Our bodies naturally release oxytocin with a newborn because instinctually there are no safety alarms. Otherwise, humans fear everything. So with a mate, the safety alarms need to be shut down. This is done over time through connection and intimacy. Ideally, when we enter a new relationship, affair aside, the dopamine starts flowing. As the relationship progresses, the dopamine wanes. Now hopefully the relationship grows and the dopamine is replaced through intimacy and closeness with oxytocin. Here's the really cool part. Our bodies actually crave the comfort generated by the oxytocin more than the dopamine. This is the case if the oxytocin is being released. Absent either is a feeling of emptiness. Now when people feel this emptiness and need to feel alive, they chase the quick fix. Yep, dopamine. What most who have had experience with sex and relationships understand is excitement of affair or one-night stand sex wanes as well. Whether it's with one-night partner or multiple partners, over time the dopamine releases subside. This is simply science and our bodies. So like the skydiving example, the fifth or sixth time is far less exhilarating than the first. Oxytocin, on the other hand, is sustainable and releases actually increase over time. So just like the newborn example, over time the bond and closeness increases. Thought I'd share this to help those betrayed spouses who are trying to process regardless of the outcome of their relationship. Hopefully you can see how this plays into many common themes on this sub. Once a cheater, always a cheater, was affair sex better, or I can't be intimate, etc. If not, let's dialogue. Anyway, hope this was worth a quick read. This is really an interesting and profound perspective, OP. It makes a whole lot of sense. Affairs are definitely all about the quick fix. I think people honestly really get bored of the normalcy of their day-to-day life. It's unfortunate that, for some reason, their head is telling them they need chaos and excitement that an affair supposedly brings. I've said it before, but people should just want to be able to spice things up in their own marriage, in whatever way that might be, instead of chasing fantasy. Update. Prevalence of the modern walk-away wife. This is a cut through the BS post about walk-away wife syndrome. There's a harsh reality to this, and it needs to surface. That's simple. All starts with boredom, period. Many cases, these women have everything. One could even argue too much. There's nothing wrong with being bored. It's how they address the boredom. Instead of finding purpose, activities, friends, etc., modern women retreat to social media and fantasies. The combination leads to painting a picture in their heads of some idealistic life. Social media is wrought with damaged divorced women that perpetuate single, strong female fantasies. These damaged women ruin their lives, can't accept responsibility, and refuse to admit they are miserable. They post content, get likes, and feel justified. It's like recruiting into a cult. They feed off of each other. Trust me, if your wife is bored, she's consuming all this stuff. She's envisioning a fantasy which does not include you or marriage. Rationalizing is irrational. These walk-away wives are now in a mental tug of war. They have good lives, they are bored, but now they have this fantasy that excites them. Rather than taking accountability and addressing the boredom, they cling to the fantasy. They convince themselves the marriage is the problem. They create a narrative that their marriage is not good. Naturally, this means it's the husband. They start inventorying everything bad about you and the marriage. Then they connect these thoughts through toxic social media, i.e. TikTok. Babe had the same issues as me, left, and now is fulfilled. Once they inventory all the bad about their marriage, they start confiding in friends, relatives, Reddit, etc. They paint an overly biased portrayal of everything. Words flung around, abuse, narcissist, controlling, etc. Pity party ensues. Divorce chants from the bleachers. It finally culminates into the bomb drop. Out of the blue, it strikes. Edit. Take notice the word unhappy never surfaced in the post. That is a ruse. Trust me, If they were unhappy, you see it and feel it. Boredom is what differentiates a walkaway wife. Ah, yes. Like I said, I couldn't agree more. There's nothing wrong with being bored. I think it's actually a sign of a healthy relationship. People are constantly growing and changing. You're never the same person you were yesterday. And what's more exciting than constantly learning who the person you're married to is and growing together? What do you make of OP's saga? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.